So, when we discuss the scientific revolution, you need to understand that the scientific revolution is a new way of thinking about the natural world, like nature, astronomy, science. There will be discoveries in astronomy, mathematics, physics, biology, and chemistry. What is a revolution? The first root word you need to think of is revolt. I always think of reform, which both words mean change. A revolution is a complete change. An example of this would be like for government, the American Revolution, and for technology would be the internet. Both of these moments or themes or incidents changed the world or a nation forever. Now, why did the scientific revelation, what am I talking about? The scientific revolution come about? There are three reasons. The first reason is exploration. People are going to start to explore the world. We have the Columbian Exchange, you have the discovery of new people and lands, and there's no explanation. And the church offers the explanation of the Bible, but for some people who are educated and have established themselves in society, that's not going to be a strong enough answer for them. Also, navigation. People who go to explore need to be able to navigate. They need a knowledge of the world. They realize their observations differed from the ancient beliefs, from ancient civilizations, from the Bible, from the Quran, all of these, even religious aspects, as well as the ancient worldly beliefs, are different in the scientific revolution. Excuse me. There will be a change in beliefs. People are going to start to use observations, what they observe, what they can physically see, and the conducting experiments to explain the world around them. It's not going to be, well, I just believe in it because it's there or that I've heard of it. They believe in it because it exists. They can see it. They can physically study it. They can touch it, and they can observe it. I always say that the motto in the scientific revolution is, oh, is that what you think? We'll prove it, because that's what they're very big on, is you need to prove this to me, or you need to show it to me, or you need to explain how your experiment worked or how your hypothesis is feasible. Now, there's before the scientific revolution, you did have ideas of Ptolemy, and you guys have heard of Ptolemy before. He was an ancient Greek astronomer, and he taught the concept of geocentrism. And that is saying that the earth is the center of the universe. And what you need to add to your notes right now, and you need to write it down, put a star underneath this, is you need to put the word heliocentrism. And that is spelled HELIOCENTRISM. And underline the root word helio, which means the sun. The theory will be the earth is this, or the sun is the center of the universe, whereas geo, the root word geo, deals with earth, like geography. That is the center of the universe. What you understand is that Ptolemy's solar system model puts the earth at the center of the universe, then the moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, and then Saturn. Now, what do you know to be true as far as the orbits of the planets go? Now, Copernicus, he's going to be a Polish astronomer. He said that the geocentric theory was incorrect. He's going to go directly after it and say this is not right. And the church during this time believes in the geocentric theory. And so he's going to have a little bit of issues with the church, because the church is going to say the earth is the center of the universe because God created the earth and that's where people are, and God created man. And Copernicus is going to say that doesn't seem correct, because how can we be the center of the universe when every planet needs the sun? And so he believes in heliocentrism, which is the sun is the center of the universe. And if you look, you can see Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Okay. He wrote a book called On the Revolutions of the Heavenly Spheres, which the spheres would be like the planets. And it was published the day prior to his death. Why did he wait? Why did he wait? Because he knew the church was going to criticize him. He knew that he was going to be under attack from the church, and that they were not going to approve or agree with his beliefs in his life. Tycho Brahe, he's an astronomer, which, if you are not sure about what an astronomer does, and there should be an area where you talk about the astronomers, Next to the word astronomy, put the study of the stars and the universe and space. Put that down somewhere. Put a star on your paper and put that. Astronomy is the study of stars, the moon, orbits, space, all of those things that relate to the universe. Okay? By the late 1500s, he provided evidence for the heliocentric theory. And he actually set up an astronomical observatory, which means that he had an area where you could look and observe the stars and try to study astronomy during the late 1500s. Johann Kepler, he studied the movement of planets, and he realized that they move in ellipses. Next to the word ellipse, in parentheses, you need to put oval. An ellipse is an oval-shaped pattern, whereas other people are going to argue that the planets go in a circular motion, but they really ultimately move in an ellipse, which if you look here, this is an oval pattern. So make sure that next to the word ellipse, when you write your notes down, you need to put in parentheses the word oval. Okay? Now, Galileo Galilei, he always has a very interesting name. He is an Italian scientist who built the first telescope in 1609. This is a big deal. Okay, telescopes help you observe and zoom in on the stars and the sun and the planets. He viewed the first craters on the moon, sunspots, and even Jupiter's moons with his telescope. This is a big innovation during this time. Remember, an innovation is a new idea or a new item or new concept. Galileo published his books and was condemned by the church. The church did not like that he was creating this new technology, because remember that new technology, new items help people become more educated, and the church does not want people to question them, question religion, question Christianity, or anything of that nature. And he was put on trial ultimately by the church, kind of like the Inquisition. Remember, they inquire, they put you on trial. And he was sentenced to house arrest. And I believe he spent the rest of his life on house arrest. Now, Sir Isaac Newton, which all of you probably learn about still in science class, Sir Isaac Newton did not create gravity. I had a child, tell me one time that he created gravity. No, gravity has always, always existed. But Newton is the first to realize that we need to explain it and use laws to describe gravity, like the law of inertia. He used this law to describe gravity on the Earth, and that gravity kept planets in orbit. They have a gravitational pull, and that's why they move in that ellipse pattern. He also developed calculus. So before Isaac Newton was on the earth, we still had gravity. It's just that he figured out how to explain it. All right, Rene Descartes. He is the thinkers. He's one of the thinkers that we're going to talk about. There's two. If you realize, we just finished discussing the astronomers. Rene Descartes was a creative mathematician, and he was a scientific thinker, and he came up with the idea of, I think, therefore I am. And when we talk about I think, therefore I am, what you need to understand is that he describes this as thinking about one's existence, somebody existing, or you existing, proves that and I would put I like in quotation marks, or you exist to do the thinking. Okay, I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I exist. Is thinking about one's existence proves that I, quotation marks, which would be you, exist to do the thinking. And Rene Descartes lived from 1561 to 1626. When we talk about Sir Francis Bacon, he lived from 1561. Oh, Miss Cannon read that wrong. Sorry. Rene Descartes lived from 1596 to 1650. Excuse me. And Bacon lived from 1561 to 1626. Sorry. What you need to understand is that Bacon is going to get credit for creating the scientific method. He also had empiricist thought, which means, like, when I think of empiricist, I take that E and think about experimental science, because he believes that you have to experiment, research, and figure out if something's true or real or exist. And the scientific method is you ask a question, you do the research, you create a hypothesis, you conduct an experiment, and then ultimately you draw a conclusion whether your hypothesis was correct or incorrect. And when we talk about experimentation today, experimentation is not do an experiment one time. You have to do it a couple times for it to be valid and for it to work. Robert Boyle is the father of modern chemistry, and he defined the element, the atom, and the molecule, and he created Boyle's law, which is named after him, which describes how temperature, volume, and pressure affect gases. If you've seen this equation before, I believe you guys maybe do it in physical science or in chemistry as well, but that is Boyle's law right there. Andreas Vesalius, he is going to dissect the body of executed criminals. And this is going to lead to an advancement in astronomy. And as you can see, like this is a picture of him or a painting of him, and here's him dealing with the muscle tendons and things like that. And these are also some of his other sketches of the human body and the nerve systems and the rib cage and items like that. And Vesalius is really trying to figure out and discover what the human body consists of. William Harvey is right here with the sweet stash. He explains the workings of the human heart and the circulatory system. And if you look over here, this is like a tourniquet on the arm, which, you know, if you put a tourniquet or like a brace on the arm, it builds up your blood and your pressure and your circulation. And that's how he started to study the veins. Antoine von Leeuwenhoek, he invented the microscope, and he was actually the first person to see bacteria, blood cells, and other microorganisms. So if you look, this is a microscope back in the day, and this is what we have now, okay? And I want you to just think about, like, all of these individuals had these accomplishments, and they still continue to affect the world today. And on your handout or in your notes somewhere, please explain next to these people how their accomplishments are still affecting the world. So why does this all matter? What you need to understand is that there will be advancements in astronomy, physics, biology, and chemistry. I mean, guys, if we didn't start studying astronomy, we wouldn't have people who have gone to space. It's going to lead to philosophers and scholars seeking new understandings of society. They wanted to examine government, religion, education, and economics in new ways and solve problems, issues that they're suffering from during this time, as well as what we have now: poverty, war, and ignorance. The scientific revolution is going to further expand people's minds and open them up and try to enlighten people. And people are going to wonder why society is the way it is, why people suffer, and things like that. Make sure that you can fast forward, rewind, you can pause it, but make sure that you are writing everything that is required of you in your notes today. Thank you.